On Joe Biden's first working day as president-elect, America's pile of problems grew a little bit higher. The European Union is slapping fresh tariffs on $4 billion worth of American goods over subsidies for plane maker Boeing. It's in retaliation to the US last year taxing European goods worth $7.5 billion over the region's support for Boeing rival Airbus. But there's optimism among European leaders that Biden will be easier to work with than Donald Trump.
The President-elect Biden has stated on several occasions that he is a strong supporter of international alliances, of the multilateral system, and of the improving ties with the EU.
The US buys and sells $730 billion in goods with the EU every year. Trade relations have suffered under Trump. He imposed tariffs on EU steel in 2018 and repeatedly threatened to do the same to Europe's vast auto sector.
It's Joe time.
Here on the trading floor, we say it's Joe time. Europeans and especially German exporters will be very happy. I'm sure there was some champagne consumed by some board members.
Further east, Biden's expected to revive the pivot to Asia policy of former President Barack Obama. It sought to rally friendly countries like Japan and South Korea against China, the continent's economic heavyweight and America's biggest trading partner. Such a policy would replace the one-on-one trade war the Trump administration had waged against Beijing.
There is a lot of pro-American sentiment in Northeast and in Southeast Asia. So the U.S. has a lot of capital to draw on. Trump did everything he could to try and sort of undermine those very healthy relationships.
On a global scale, Trump's America First policies led to the U.S. exit from the Paris Climate Accord. The outgoing president also said he would take the U.S. out of the World Health Organization in the middle of a pandemic that's killed 240,000 Americans. Biden has promised to reverse those decisions.
The election is a significant move. What COVID-19 in part is showing is we are on this together. In getting a major economy like the U.S. aligned once again with the Paris Accord, I think, is quite a significant and a positive step.
In his victory speech, Biden called for unity and healing after 4 years of divisive politics. America's partners around the world are hoping his leadership also rebuilds the bridges Trump tried to burn down.
It's long overdue.
Paolo Montecillo, TRT World.
Campaign team and all the volunteers.
For more on this, Ted Seifried joins me from Chicago. He's Chief Market Strategist at Zaner Ag Hedge. Welcome to the program. Now, first of all, what are the key Trump policies that we can expect a U-turn on from the Biden White House?
Well, the one that I'm most interested in is what happens with trade. We heard over the weekend that China is going to be reviewing the trade one-phase deal now that they are going to be dealing with Biden. They feel like he is going to be a much more sympathetic president to them, and there could be some big changes coming there. We talked about exiting the Paris Accord and now going back into it. I think there's going to be a lot of restrictions on energies, fracking in particular, but also crude oil drilling. So the whole idea of energy independence in the United States is maybe something that is going to be under fire, a tremendous amount of fire here under the Biden administration. And then you've got, the projects of Dreamers, some more social projects that we would expect. But from an economic standpoint, when we look at what's happening today is very much a risk-on trade. There's a lot of money coming back into the stock market. This is all based mainly off of what's going on with the vaccine announcement from Pfizer, looking very, very promising. And the idea that maybe things are going to start getting better on the COVID front. However, at the very same time, you have Biden putting together a COVID response team. And a lot of people are very worried that that might mean that we are headed back towards another shutdown again. So it's very murky as far as what is going to happen here in the United States. You've got two very contradicting things happening here today. I guess the overall hope is that the vaccine comes along fast enough and is available fast enough that by the time Biden does take power, that we won't have to shut down again. But this is a very fluid situation. We're watching it very closely, and it's very difficult to tell what's going to be happening as of the first or second week of January.
Ted, let's switch focus now sort of to external trade. The US-China trade war has been hampering not just US-China trade, but it's been impacting many, many economies, and that's been happening since before the pandemic. Can we expect a reset of relations between Washington and Beijing, or is it going to be more of the same?
It's going to be very interesting. I think it's very difficult for Biden to look soft on China. That was something that I think a lot of especially the Republican part of the United States, really got behind Trump on. And if that starts to reverse, again, we still have a Republican, at this point, we still have a Republican Senate. I think that will bring Biden under a tremendous amount of fire. So I don't know if he can take a full step back from that. But I would expect a renegotiation of the Phase 1 trade deal. I think it will get a lot more beneficial for China. And then we'll see what happens with us. One of the main things that we're worried about there is agricultural products, in particular, say, soybeans, for example. The soybean business here in the United States has been booming the last 6 months or so. It's been very good for the United States farmer, and we're worried that might go away. The other one is energies, especially if we're moving to an anti-fracking and an anti-drilling policy under Biden. This is something that we will have to watch very closely.
Thank you very much, Ted Seifried, there joining us from Chicago.